Esandaii, the Talking League.
Good evening and welcome back to another episode of the Talking League podcast. Tonight's show is proudly sponsored by Little Kickers. And what is Little Kickers, you may be asking? Well, it is the home of preschool soccer. They are a soccer-based learning program that teaches kids a whole range of skills like color coordination, listening to instructions, and playing with other kids. If you are interested in their services, I'll drop the details below. And we are onto our show tonight. And of course, we have our two loyal hosts with me. Ashley Boye, how are you doing, Ashley?
I'm good, and you, Shani? I'm well. I'm glad to be back on the show, and Jay's with us also today. It's going to be lekker, it's going to be solid. And hello to all our viewers.
Good stuff. How you doing, Jay, man?
Always good. Great to be back here with you guys once again. I seem to have little gaps in between, but don't worry, I haven't gone anywhere. It's an absolute blessing to be back with you guys.
Awesome stuff. And just on that note, to our fans, from next week, we hopefully will be doing our shows all together once again. I'm pretty excited to get back in person with the two lads and discussing football with them. But yeah, that'll be from next week. So we're going to jump straight into it. I believe the guys have got some interesting topics. Ashu, hand it over to you. What's the first topic?
Okay, so the first topic that I'm coming up with today is obviously the transfer with Aubameyang staying at Arsenal. I know a lot of clubs were after him, such as Barcelona and Inter Milan. They gave him the bids before the actual contract has been made. Do you feel that it's a good move for Arsenal to be actually, for Aubameyang to actually stay at Arsenal?
Jay, do you want to go first?
Well, I don't like Arsenal ever, but I mean, I think Arteta's done quite a good thing with that team, and I think they are a lot stronger than they have been in the last couple of years. So I think Aubameyang right now is gelling in really well. We saw with the first game as well. I think for him it's the right decision. It's taken, I wouldn't say a while, but he's a really good player. But I just think he's really hit his peak with Arsenal at the moment. And I think it would be silly for him to leave that. And as much as I hate to say it, Arsenal do look like a very strong team this season. From what we've seen already.
Yeah, look, it's been one game. I mean, they played Fulham. So hopefully they get undone, which is against West Ham. But if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be delighted that he's staying on. But it begs the question, were the other teams really that interested in him? So I feel like Arsenal like to sell their players, especially when they start peaking. And I believe that those teams were really after him, and wanted his signature, they would have thrown a lot of cash at it. And I think Arsenal would have succumbed to that. Or Arteta has finally got the board online with him, and they're trying to build a squad around it. And like Jay says, they're looking pretty decent. But as a Spurs fan, hopefully they will fail. What's your views, Ashley?
Well, I think it's a very, very good move for Arsenal. I think Aubameyang staying there is one of the biggest helps in the club. That's like securing the 75% of the goals for next 3 seasons. Aubameyang has made such an impact on Arsenal. You look at how many goals he's scored in the past, how many games he's played. Sorry, I don't know the exact stat, but if you look at the team without him, they struggle a lot. And the problem is to find someone to replace Aubameyang. It's going to be a big transfer that they have to make. And the problem is, you're going to look at Arsenal now this season as the big contender. I would rate maybe top 4. It's a big call, but I think if there's certain like teams that have to look at, you have to look at Aubameyang. Be dominating most of the strikers in the league. Vardy's been performing over the seasons, but if you look at the consistency that Aubameyang has had in the past 3 seasons, you would consider him to be maybe the best of this decade. Not the best, but like in the top 5 of the decade. I think he's been that main pillar for Arsenal, and if a guy like him had to leave, I think Arsenal will break, and I would see them out of top 10.
That's exactly what we want. Just to watch Arsenal fan TV collapsing like that when Arsenal doing bad is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Now, they're all sitting on a high horse at the moment, but then again, they only did play off Fulham.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Other circumstances we have to take into consideration when we look at the performance. A lot of teams were without certain players due to obviously coming back from international games as well as COVID. And Jay, you've got something to tell us about the whole COVID story with players.
Yes, so I was watching Sky News on Monday morning, and it came out that there were 4 Premier League players that had come out with COVID. So, and then there were rumours of another postponement because obviously it's quite risky. And the whole thing is that with the Nations Cup happening, a lot of these guys were playing against teams from all over Europe, if that makes sense. So, guys that aren't tested regularly and don't have the correct precautions before they play games or anything along those lines. So it's quite a heavy thing. I mean, you get these guys flying all over the whole of Europe and then coming back with COVID. And I mean, you get one person in a team, you can pretty much give the whole team COVID and the whole staff, and you can shut down a whole football team. So like my question is, do you guys think a postponement would be a smart thing if the numbers increase? Or do you think that they're going to have to do like a testing weekly for these players in order to make sure everybody's safe?
Well, I just want to jump in ahead of Ashley on that because I'm glad you brought up COVID. And there's one thing I can't quite understand, and watching especially the Spurs documentary All or Nothing, where they showed the introduction of COVID and that. So players, when they are traveling to games and that, they aren't wearing their masks in the team bus. As soon as they arrive at the stadium they're playing at, they put their masks on, walk inside, into the change room, and the masks come off. Then they go back onto the field with no masks, and they play like that. And then when they leave, once again, they put the masks on. So what is the actual point? I mean, they don't even shake hands. They're still doing the whole like bumping elbows and bumping knuckles. But if you're not wearing masks, what's the point of doing that precautionary? So I don't know if the Premier League would postpone their games because there's just way too much money that'll be lost in terms of TV revenue and advertising rights. I think they're just putting on the show that they are doing their precautions for Corona, but I think they don't take it that seriously. If I'm very honest, I don't know what your views are, Ashley.
I think the view of COVID, the problem is if you cancel the league, for us fans, it's a big no. But if you look at the sense of us being humans, you have to look at it as if, you have to cancel maybe the league for a short time, maybe less than a month, just so that all the players, if they're up to date and stuff like that in terms of COVID regulations, then I think yes. But there also needs to be that sense, if you do have the virus, you need to come clean, because there's a lot of, I've seen even on like basketball, like the problem is some of their players they found that week after should be a amount of intense research before games, the virus or. Sorry, can you hear
me? Now we can. We thought you were Robocop for a second.
Oh, sorry guys. Yes, my Wi-Fi has been down lately.
Basketball, yeah?
Shucks. Yeah, so I've seen it even in basketball. A lot of players, they only find out after games, and you look at days after they've actually been tested that they have been caught with the virus, or not caught with the virus. It makes it seem as if it's a crime, but like that they've been tested positive for the virus. But I think there should be a big amount of research before the games itself, or before trainings as well, in terms of actually finding out which player actually has the virus and which player has been in contact with a lot of people that had the virus and stuff like that. So I think, the Premier League, there's so much money invested in it. I think they can maybe take a bit of funds just to do a bit more research to get a clearer sense before the time of actually training and games and all that type of thing, just to see that there is a setting where a lot of players don't have the virus and can be potentially catch the virus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Jay, you said that on Sky, they said that there was 4 players tested. Were those 4 players all from the same team or from different teams?
That wasn't said. I don't know if more came out afterwards. I was like, "Oh, that's hectic," and then I had to rush off to work, so I didn't hear the complete story. But it just blew my mind, and I was just thinking, like, just now a whole team happens, how quickly they could spread. And I know for, I would say, 95% of footballers, they're all fit, healthy, and in great condition. So most of their symptoms would be mild. So I don't think many of them would even show the typical symptoms or would come across as asymptomatic. So the only way that you could really pick up in people that have that kind of health or are in the prime, if that makes sense, is to do regular testing, because most of them symptoms won't even show. So I don't know. But yeah, as far as I know, it could have been all from the same team, or it could have been guys that had come back from international duty for different teams.
And on that, I think actually, if I'm reading the lines of what Jose Mourinho said after Tottenham's game on Sunday, Harry Kane was possibly one of those that had tested positive. He was saying something along the lines that, I mean, when we were doing preseason games, Harry Kane wasn't present yet, and nothing was really said about it. And all of a sudden, when the England internationals came, Harry Kane was fit and he was playing for them. So Mourinho said something on the lines that Harry Kane had only had one training session with Spurs this whole preseason. So that possibly explains why he was absent. He could have had corona. And I know there's a couple of Spurs players that were missing from training, and nothing was really said about any injuries in that. So it'll be interesting to find out if those four have been isolated in time and haven't spread, because ideally, at the end of the day, I know lives come first. But for the sake of football, we want football to carry on and not to be postponed again. You can't take 2 steps forward and then 3 backwards as well.
Yeah, I think that's why I was so worried. I waited so long for the Premier League to start up again. And then as soon as I heard all these rumors and stuff, like, actually got that terrible feeling you get in your stomach. I was like, no, not again. But meanwhile, I could probably have a restart of the season, to be honest, because my fantasy league team for week 1 was dismal.
I'm so glad you did. Actually, how did you do?
I got 51 points. I'm not too mad, because I got my team already made like long before the time, and I put 2 Man United players, and obviously they weren't going to play this week, so I made a big mess up there. And I don't want to restart my team, because then obviously you have to if you're going to make the transfer, you have to make that one transfer and make it count. So I was like, you know what, just leave it. I'll go for next week. If they play or not, I'll keep them, because it's all right.
Actually, I don't know what's happening with your Wi-Fi. We lost you on the last bit there, but yeah, I get what you're saying. And I don't know if you guys saw the video that I did yesterday with the Fantasy League. The team that's guy that's leading in our Talking League Fantasy League is the team's name is Unbu Black Ops. I just wanted to go through some of the players that were in his team, just for a heads up for future use. Aubameyang was in there. He scored 7 points, and he was smart enough to captain Salah. So he got a hat-trick, if I'm not mistaken, on Saturday. So he got 40 points already from that. Sayers from Wolves as well, 15 points. And then he had Schmeichel in goals, which was 6 points, because they had a clean sheet, obviously. So some interesting players I see are getting points. And that's the thing with Fantasy League. It's also a bit of a gamble, because you never know who's going to pitch and perform on the day. I mean, most people, including myself, had, I didn't actually for once, they had Van Dijk in their team, Virgil van Dijk. And look what happened to Liverpool. So you just got to get lucky with it. Have you guys got any methods that you follow, or any game plans that you use when you pick your players?
Mine used to be quite hectic. I used to really go into it and have a look at the teams or who they're playing and everything like that. But the last couple of seasons, I just smack a team that I like the look of and that could match the budgets, and that's the team I put up. Generally, I try and put the strongest players on the field, no matter who they're playing. And then I'll buy like the cheapest players I could find just to fill the bench, if that makes sense. And then always have that really strong 11. It hasn't worked for me in the last 2 seasons. I think I need to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on transfer news, well, we're talking about Fantasy League where you can buy and sell players. Big news coming out of Tottenham this morning, well, overnight actually, is that Gareth Bale's potentially coming back to Spurs. Actually, as a City fan,
Yes.
I haven't seen much movement in the transfer market from you guys. Is Pep worried about the transfer ban coming back, or what's happening?
I think that's also a big key for why we're quiet. But I think one of the keys is we really wanted Lionel Messi to maybe come on board. But also, like the players now, if you had to look, we have a lot of talent that we haven't actually used over the seasons, and I think Guardiola is actually realizing how much talent he actually has off the bench and on the bench. I think there's a lot of ways that we can maybe read our team season where never had any signings made, and I think maybe we're building up to the next transfer market or transfer season, whatever you want to call it, and maybe that will potentially show where we're going to make the big moves and for the correct players. Because right now we can splash the cash if you want, but the problem is if we're going to just splash the cash because it's rushed, like deadlines there and all that type of thing. So I think that's why we also kept a bit quiet with signings. But in terms of Gareth Bale going to Tottenham, I think that's a very, very good aspect for you guys, because you guys have Harry Kane, you guys have Son, you guys have so many great players, but I think you do need that right winger. I know Lucas Moura could fit in there perfectly, but if you look at Gareth Bale with his potential, and also Rigolion, or however you say his name, from Spain, he's coming in now for that I think left back or right back position.
Left back, yeah.
I think he would be very, very good for you guys. I think for Gareth Bale and him on the wing, that will be superb. And if you guys had to play a 4-3-3, because I've seen actually the new players that's coming in, I actually made a quick paper stats, whatever you call it. I think, obviously you have Hugo Lloris in goals. You have Alderweireld and Dyer. I know Dyer could maybe be replaced, but for now you need to make amends. Then you have Doherty and Rigolion. I'm not going to say his name. And then obviously with the three midfield, I think Ndombele is a very, very good talent. I think Jose Mourinho must use his talents as much as he can. You've got Hojberg, or have you said that guy's name? You've got Lo Celso. You've got Lo Celso as well. He's a very, very good player. And then obviously your front three could be Son, Bale, and Kane. And I think right there, that front three would actually dominate Europe. I'm not just looking at the Premier League. And with Bale, I don't know if he's going to be more of a talent in the beginning. I think he needs to build up and get back to that Premier League standard. And then also the likes of if he's going to get injured, I think that's a big. But I think if you look at the personality factor of Bale, I think he just does that because he doesn't want to play. He wants to play golf. But yeah, so I think Bale's a very, very good signing with his goals. He's had a lot of goals in the previous seasons, even when he played with Ronaldo and Benzema. And now he can do the same with Harry Kane and Son. So that could be one of the best teams in Europe if Bale had to come and just help out Harry Kane and Son.
I actually just want to rewind quickly back to your City comment from earlier, where you mentioned that Pep is looking to his bench and players that he possibly has overlooked in the previous past. Was one of those players Phil Foden? And I'll ask Phil Foden because we know what he can do off the bench in a hotel room with the England players. And is that one of the players that you're looking at?
No, he must stay on the bench for a bit. I think he just needs to get a bit more discipline. Yeah.
According to that model,
but I think
disciplined.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Jay, you happy, Bale?
Oh no, geez, like ecstatic. I would love to have him back. I think I've been wanting him to come back since the moment he left, if that makes sense. He's got a lot of experience now. He's won 4 Champions League trophies and 2 La Ligas, I think, since he's there. So he's got the experience now with winning trophies. He's won trophies now. So I mean, at the moment, as long as he's happy and he's made enough money there playing golf for Real Madrid, I don't think it's so much about the money anymore. I think it's just making himself, like, ending on a positive, if that makes sense. So hopefully, if he comes, I just know that we wanted to get him on loan with a possibility to buy, but Real Madrid wants an outright buyer for him. So that's the only thing that's going against us at the moment, because other clubs want to pay, like, buy him straight up, but we're requesting a loan. So that's the only thing that's going against us. So I'm not getting my hopes completely up yet, because we've done this in the past, players like Dybala and things like that, and it gets right to the end and then boom, gone. But I am enjoying it. I'm relishing in it. If he does come back, I'm going to be over the moon.
We'll have to do a episode just on your reaction for Bale returning.
Well, like we were chatting this morning, and we even said you couldn't buy a Gareth Bale shirt on the Tottenham store, but then all of a sudden it's appeared again. So, like this morning, all of a sudden you could buy a Tottenham shirt with Bale. If that is a troll, it is the greatest troll of all time, because I can imagine.
Yeah, the articles at Spurs are loving it.
Yes, 100%.
And you know, guys, one more thing on the transfer window. Every transfer window that happens, there's always one big name player and a big club that is linked with, and that transfer drags out like the entire window for it just to go over the line. And the one I'm referring to now is Jadon Sancho from BVB going to United. I've seen so many conflicting reports that he's already agreed terms with United. And like United fans are getting excited, but they must understand, for a player to agree terms, that's one thing. The clubs need to agree terms, and I think that's where the stumbling block is at the moment. I don't think Dortmund want to sell him, but if he went to United, what do you guys think about that? Big signing?
Oh, I think that would be brilliant for United. But then it also comes with the whole story is players really don't choose where they go. It's all about the agents and the clubs, you know. Like also watching the Spurs documentary with Christian Eriksen, even Danny Rose. Danny Rose was linked with Inter, but then Inter weren't looking to buy, so they didn't take him. Then he was linked to Bournemouth, and then he didn't want to go to Bournemouth, and then he ended up going to Newcastle. I mean, it was that all had to do with his agents. So there were lots of clubs that would have taken him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the end of the day, as much as the player can say like his preferred clubs and whatnot, but it all, there's so many factors that play into it, and I think a player only has like about 50% choice on where he's going to play. So it's the same with Gareth Bale at this point. If he says he really wants to come to Tottenham, then it's up to the clubs to negotiate. And if United put in a bigger offer and his agent prefers that, then and Real Madrid prefer that, that's where he's going to have to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sancho, if Dortmund don't want to get rid of Sancho's not going to go anywhere, because he's still, I don't know. It's difficult because how long does he still have left on his contract?
Oh, no clue.
Then you know, yeah. Because then it'll also come down like if the contract comes to an end and he doesn't sign, then he'll go for free. So there's so many politics and ups and downs and like football's become more of a business than football, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you spot on.
My opinion.
Ashley, what do you reckon?
You know, I have a lot of love for Man United as well, but I don't see Sancho going there this season. I think Sancho is very, very comfortable at Dortmund. Him, Haaland, and a lot of players there, they gel so well. And the problem is, if he has to leave the club like Dortmund and go to Man United, you know, he's going to have to compete as well sometimes. You know, I know he's probably one of the best talents out there for England. Not the best, but one of. And the problem is, like, if he goes to Man United, will he gel well with the players? Because I know Rashford and him are similar in a sense, but at the same time, you have to look at Sancho being a player from Manchester City, which we made. But you have to look at also if he's going to gel well with a lot of players there, because you look at Pogba, that's not as quick as they say, but he's a guy that takes his time with the ball, and I would see more of a player like Ziyech, but obviously Ziyech went to Chelsea. Yeah. And the problem is Man United's gameplay, it's more of a counter-pace attack, more of a steady, slow type of vibe compared to the likes of Dortmund, where Dortmund's absolutely quick the whole time, where they got Hakimi on the right, but obviously went to Inter Milan. But that whole pace effect of Dortmund, I don't think he would gel well in Man United. You'll prove me wrong, but you know, I wouldn't want to see him at United because obviously being from City, I would love to have him back.
Very good point. Gentlemen, it's that time of the show already. It's flown by. Like I say, hopefully next week we can be together and film our podcast like we used to do. I think it'll be much easier and much better as well, and we can really banter each other broken. But for that, we're going to leave it off there today. Jay, would you like to say your goodbyes?
Yeah.
Hold on, I've got something right here. Can I make that smaller? You see that?
So cool. That is so cool.
Oh my word.
So I would like to. Oh, what's going on there now?
Just be careful what
Birds and
picture you use as a back.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprise! But yeah, guys, it's so great to be back. I can't wait to see you guys in person. It's going to be an absolute joy. Hopefully our fantasy league teams do a lot better in this week coming. Hopefully all my players play and I don't have 3 players that don't have a game and I get 0 points for them. But yeah, otherwise super excited. I hope the transfer window produces exactly what I'd like for my team, and
Yes.
hopefully it'll produce one for your team. But otherwise, I just hope you guys have a killer week, and thanks for having me back once again. What's up?
Ashley?
I just want to say thank you so much for the awesome show, guys. I just want to say thank you to all our viewers for watching and, coming out there, new listeners, old listeners, everybody in general. I just want to have a big saying quick. I want this world to know that we need to stop gender violence. I think we also need to stop racism in football, in society, and I think it does start at home. But on that note as well, peace and love. Boom!
Thank you, Ashley. And yeah, we echo what Ashton says as well. And one more note, going back to little kickers, if you have little ones between the ages of 18 months to 7 years, please don't miss out on this opportunity. You got to get them involved. It's an awesome program. The kids love it, parents love it, and the coaches love it more. So from the Talking League, this is us signing out. Have a good week, be safe, and God bless.
Boom!